So the project that we did was the rising price of college tuition from 1985 till 2017.
So our observed problem is that we are going to identify the rising cost of tuition and all of the other associative costs of people that attend college and why these costs are getting so high even though the same service is being provided at relatively the same cost for most public schools as well as private schools.
Background of the problem. In the past 20 years, the average tuition and fees at private national universities have jumped 154%. Out of state tuition and fees at public national universities have risen 181%. And in state tuitions and fees at public national universities have grown the most, increasing 221%. With the continuous rise of tuition for higher education in America, people are questioning whether college is still beneficial to one's career.
So the main root of the problem, in 1985, the average cost of 1 year of college, including both private and public institutions, was just under $5,000, but it would be $10,893 after accounting for inflation. So looking at today's price, that's about how much it would be. And just 2 years ago, the average cost has risen to over $23,000. And according to the U.S. Department of Education, 55% of students that started in 2015 were gone by the following year, which is an increase of over 44%. And this isn't strictly just because of tuition. It could be, any other family reasons, or, they realized that college just wasn't for them. It was not strictly just because of the rising cost of tuition. And another part of the students not returning for their second year is because education can be contributed to the rising costs.
So, the importance of a solution. Going into the workforce with only a high school diploma can seriously limit the amount of money a person can make over their career. On average, college graduates make $1 million more over their lifetime than high school graduates do, according to research from Georgetown University. The number of students enrolled in a 4-year traditional program continues to decrease.
So here are some of the data values that we found. We found this on the U.S. Department of Education's website as well as other reliable sources. So as you can see, if you look at the rising inflation in 1985, 1986, it was just over $10,000. And then it continues to increase throughout the years. It's just a steady increase. It's not like it's anything drastic or dramatic, but it looks at the costs of what it takes to run the campus, all of everyone that needs to get paid, any other miscellaneous
New facilities.
costs. Yep. Any other replacements. It could have results with employee turnover or just any other costs associated with the school.
So, looking at possible solutions to the rise in all the student debt, there are a few. Flexible tuition models increase affordability. Income share agreements like the one at Lambda School, which is it is a 6-month computer science course that teaches major programming languages, and a 7-month data science course that prepares students for a career in machine learning. Instead of tuition, students can pay for their education once they receive a job with a $50,000 annual salary. Once students snag a job that meets the salary minimum, graduates pay back 17% of their salary over a period of 2 years, with a maximum payment capped at $30,000. If you don't find a job or meet this income level, you don't have to pay a cent. And if you lose your job or your monthly pay dips below $5,000, you can pause the repayment for that month. So what this does is makes college seem a lot more affordable for a student, because they realize they don't have to pay back all this money. Only if they're successful they'll have to, which is not going to be an issue at that point. At Idaho University, they froze the cost of tuition to encourage more students to attend college. That means throughout the years, the tuition won't be rising any more than it is now.
Right before they instituted this tuition freeze, They increased the total in-state as well as out-of-state undergrad tuition by just over 5%, and then they froze it. So then here's a chart that we found. It looks at the goods and services that have been produced in the United States starting in 1997, and it shows how the prices have fluctuated, whether that be increase, decrease, or stayed relatively the same. And what it says here is that college tuition fees have been the highest rising costs in America.
Based on national average urban consumer prices.
Yes, and it says that it has risen over 150% in the last 23 years.
And it's also a good idea to note that wages have only risen 0.3% in the same time. Okay, enrollment is projected to increase over the next years, including up to 2028, which is pretty substantial, and it would be a great idea to have a new way for students to afford these college.
So ways we're going to implement the solution is offer more flexible options, whether that be more online programs or ways that non-traditional students would be able to complete their degree, whether that be 2-year, 4-year, or master's degree. And then, like the one offered at Lambda University, that they have de-risked the burden of getting a higher education because students, they won't have to worry about the debt until they get a job with a high enough paying salary. Because their enrollment now is about 2,700 students, and it's growing at 10% a month. And just recently, they've received a $30 million investment from Google so they can expand their programs and offer an even more flexible way for people to get their education.
It's clear that more colleges need to develop programs like this for students to be successful, and I don't know, just kind of...
They look at overall success, and not just because of what their future salary would be, but they look at graduation rates or the number of people that drop out, and they want those numbers to be in their favor as much as possible.
We think these programs would be the most beneficial to students. And there's our sources.
Thank you.
Hope you like the video.
Go Saints.